Hello there, guys and gals in the YouTube world. It is Friday, November the 5th. I hope this finds you doing outstanding. If you're working, your weekend's almost here. If you work a normal schedule. If you're like I was in most of my career, maybe you'll get the weekend off. Maybe you got to work tonight on a Friday night. Maybe you work the weekend. Who knows? But hang in there, okay? Because Mazske wants to help you. I was thinking about my life earlier today. I had to drive to Lowe's and get some stuff. So I was thinking, and I thought about, man, when I joined the Navy at age 19, walking down the runway, I refused to look back behind me. I had some family members that were saying goodbye, and I said, I'm not looking back. I'm moving forward. I'm taking the first step in the rest of my life. I didn't know where that would take me, but it did set the stage for the rest of my life. Okay, I want to cover things in a nutshell. This may get a little long. I don't know. I have a tendency to talk sometimes, and I've had a very long, diverse life and a lot of things. So we'll see how this plays out. And, you know, I think I've told this different times, but joined the Navy when I was 19. By the time I was 20 and pushing 21, I was stationed in the country of Panama. I had a roommate there. And that roommate, we had a house, and we shared a bedroom. You know, my bed was on one side, his bed was on the other side. And he would talk to me. He was older than me. I was probably 21-ish at the time. He was probably 29-ish at the time. And he would talk to me about investing in mutual funds. And he would name, I forget the names, maybe not Fidelity, Magellan, that might have been one of them. He would name me mutual funds that were like top performers for the year or up there. And he would just talk about, if I had money, I would put it into these mutual funds. And it got me thinking about it. And he traveled a lot with the Navy. He went in South America a lot. And so I would go to the library. I would look up Money Magazine. I found some books, manuals, I think Value Line or something. I looked at stocks and I was like, ooh, it's thick books, whatever they were called. And I didn't understand them. I look at the Miami Times newspaper because that was in the library, you know, in the country of Panama. And I would look at the stock page and I learned how to read it. I learned what ticker symbols were. I learned the highs and lows on the stock price. I learned dividend yield. I figured it out because this was back late 80s. There was no internet back then. I was in a foreign country, so I didn't even have access to American libraries, which were bigger than the military base library I was in, okay? So anyway, I ended up signing up and getting a couple mutual funds, okay? I didn't know what I was doing. I might have had to put like $1,000 in to open the accounts, but then I would put $50 a month in. And through the 90s, that's what I did. Around 1992, 1993, my oldest son was born in 1993, but around that time, I bought a house. I was living in the country on the island of Puerto Rico at the time. I went back up just a little bit. When I was in Great Lakes, Illinois, I must have talked to my brother one day, and he told me he had 5.5 acres of land in Virginia, Southwest Virginia. And he wanted to move. He didn't want to live on that land. There was too many people around him, he said. And this was kind of in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, but he wanted someplace more secluded. So he asked me if I wanted to buy this land from him. And I said, sure. I was 19 years old. I probably paid cash for it. I think it is like $5,000 because even then I was saving up money. So I bought it for $5,000. So in 1993, he contacted me again and said he knew of a house in that area in Southwest Virginia that maybe, I think it was his wife's parents were selling or something. So he asked me, I want to buy it. It was like $30,000. So I was like, sure, I'll buy it. Because I knew I was planning to get out of the Navy. But I still had like 3 years to go in the Navy. And so I went up to I left Puerto Rico late that year and went to the state of Maine. And when I was there, my phone rang one day. And my brother gave my phone number to a gentleman whose father had built that house. So that gentleman asked me, would I be willing to sell the house to him? And he offered me, I think, $40,000. I had just bought it a couple months prior for $30,000. And I turned him down. I said, no, thank you. I said, when I get out of the Navy in a couple of years, I'm planning to move there. I need a house to live in. So he asked me, could he rent it from me? I was like, I hadn't thought about that because it was just sitting empty. And I hadn't even seen the house yet. It was just sitting empty. And I said, maybe. And he said, what's your mortgage? And I said, $225 a month. It was through Navy Federal Credit Union. That was taxes, insurance, and the house, $225 a month. And he goes, how about if I gave you $250 a month? And I said, that'll work. He said, what's your address? I gave it to him. And he mailed me a check every month for $250 for 2.5 years. At near the end of that time, I contacted them and I said, hey, I'm getting out of the Navy in a couple of months. I'm going to be moving down there. I need y'all to, move out of the house so I can get down there, so I can move in. And they didn't like it, because they had gotten settled in, they were comfortable, but they ended up moving out. So by the time I got down there and moved in, the gentleman actually passed away. He was younger than I am now, but he died of a heart attack or something, so I never met him. So anyway, but fast forward in life, I didn't stay there. I realized that area was depressed economically, and a lot of people were depressed, I think, because of the economic depression. I took a job out of North Carolina. They put me in a management training program, and I eventually relocated to the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia after I was there for 6 to 9 months working this job. Probably after 6 months, I just decided I wanted another job, and I applied to be a police officer, and I got hired. All right, so for the next 20 years, I was a cop. Not backing up. Around 1999, though, I had been reading a lot of books on personal finance. And I love books on how to save money. I love finding stuff on ways to be frugal because my money was so tight. A cop did not pay much. I had 2 sons by then. My wife was a stay-at-home mom because she had just had a baby at that time. We had a 105-pound German Shepherd. We had a cat. We had 2 parakeets. And money was just really, really, really tight. And so I was reading these books, and I read a lot of books, dozens of books. And one was by Susie Orman. Excuse me. And in the back of it, it had a link in there, www.fool.com. It was the Motley Fool. And when I logged into that site is one of the things I'll put on one hand that changed my life. The Motley Fool changed my life. Because when I found that site, I realized that anybody can buy individual stocks. And this was in 1999. And they had online discount stockbrokers like $7.99 a trade, $8.99 a trade, $9.99 a trade. And it opened my eyes up because I was like, whoa, I can get away from mutual funds. Even the little guy, me, can buy individual stocks. Because I was always thinking you had to be wealthy, rich to buy individual stocks. Because you had to have some money before to buy stocks. But now, by 1999, the internet was here. Online discount stockbrokers were here. You could trade fairly cheap, kind of, sort of. And so I sold my mutual funds, opened up online accounts, and I transferred the money into it. And bada bing, I started buying some individual stocks. And I was loving it because the market was going up. It reminds me of today. The market was going up. Every day I logged in, it was green, 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 green. It just kept going up, just like today. And then one day, it started going down. And it started going down. And I forget exactly when. I think it was in 2000 when it started going down. We call it the dot-com crash. And we followed that up in late 2001. 9/11 occurred. That also rocked the markets. But anyway, over a year, 18 months, 2 years, my stock portfolio was cut in half. I did not have a lot of money. I had not saved up a lot of money by then. I took money out in the 90s to buy that one house down for $30,000. I put a 10% down payment down, or maybe it was 20% down payment. I think I put $10,000 down. I think my mortgage was for $20,000, if I remember right. So I sold stocks to get that $10,000 for that down payment. Okay, so even though my mutual funds had grown, I had pulled money out that time, and I think for something else I pulled money out. And so I did not have a lot of money to start my stock account, but it had grown, and then it just came back down more to below how I started. And I was like, well, the good thing is I didn't have a lot. I remember telling my wife at one point, it's like, if I was one of these rich people and I had $100,000, then I might be down like $50,000, $40,000, $30,000 right now. That would hurt. But when you have less than $20,000, well, easy come, easy go. It was kind of like that. And so, but anyway, throughout the 2000s, I worked full time. I worked a lot of overtime. I had 2 kids who were involved in baseball, soccer, music lessons, piano lessons, a variety, school events, just a variety of things. But I still read on the Motley Fool probably every single day or close to it, a lot. And in 2005, I finally gave in to one of their emails and subscribed to their service called Stock Advisor. And when I subscribed to Stock Advisor, that would also go on that same hand under the Motley Fool about changing my life. Because I bought 3 stocks in 2005. One was eBay, one was Sina. Sina was a Chinese internet stock, and the other was Netflix. All right. Going through the rest of the 2000s, I transitioned slowly from stocks that I had bought in 1999, because I still held them for the most part, to Motley Fool picked stocks, going up to like 2010, 2011. By 2009, excuse me, the missus had started working. She had been working all along. She was a stay-at-home mom when the baby was born. She eased into very part-time work, eased into full-time work, but it was in childcare where that pays very low, like minimum wage or just slightly above it. And then by 2009, she took a full-time job through a temp company which led to a full-time job in a factory. So by 2010, we finally got on her benefits because they were better than police officer benefits. Her health insurance was cheaper. Cops benefits, at least where I worked at, pay was low, benefits were poor. Health insurance was expensive, pay was low. Not a good combination, okay? So when she started working, all of a sudden, it's like we were rich. And within that first year or two, it was time to do some stuff because we had pulled the belt tight for a decade. And we had heated our house with electric oil-filled radiators for a decade or longer. And we had gone without a lot because our lives revolved around the boys. We spent money on them, not material items, experiences, sports, athletics, theater, just experiences. And it paid off, okay? But then when the money came in, one thing we did was in a 2-year period, I traveled to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania, probably half a dozen times, and to ride roller coasters. I loved roller coasters. And we rode a bunch of roller coasters over those 2 summers. I also went to Busch Gardens, I went to King's Dominion, I went to Six Flags, and rode roller coasters because I like roller coasters, and the boys like roller coasters, and the missus, she'll put up with them sometimes. Went down to Dollywood down in Tennessee, and rode roller coasters at Dollywood. But then as the 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015 played along, a couple things happened. In 2011, my oldest son graduated from high school and he attended the United States Coast Guard Academy. In 2015, my oldest son graduated from the Coast Guard Academy in May. And in June, or maybe it was in July, we took our youngest son up there, 500, 600 miles away to the Coast Guard Academy for him to attend college. So that same time in 2015 in January, I paid off my mortgage on that house I had bought. That house I had bought, I originally got a 30-year mortgage, refinanced it, and I ended up paying it off in about 17 years, okay? After the missus got that job, we also, besides riding roller coasters, I also put a furnace in my house, I put air conditioning in my house, I put windows in the house, I put doors in the house. I ended up putting a roof on the house, and we renovated the house even more so to sell the house, okay? But come along 2016, I was on vacation in Savannah, Georgia, got the idea of buying rental property, and by the time I got back home, I decided, I want to buy rental property, and I closed my first rental house in January 2017. My very first tenant, I had to evict her within a couple months, okay? It stressed me out because it bothered me. I took it personal. I started getting internal pain. I ended up going to the doctor. They diagnosed me with something and I had to get treated for it. Okay, I believe it was stress induced. Stress can cause problems. Okay, but I ended up getting her out. I had to go take her to court, evict her, take her to court, stand in front of a judge, get her out. She was given, came down to the 24 hours notice from the sheriff's department. And I finally got her out. And finally, I got a good family to live in there. And then I bought a second house. And then I bought a triplex. And then I bought another house. And fast forward, within 4 years, I bought 25 rental units. Okay. I closed on the 25th one December of last year. All right. I remember at Christmas time being at my family's residence up in Maryland, my parents, and talking to them about wanting to move to Florida. And they said, when do you think you'll do it? And I said, I don't know, but it could be sooner rather than later. By March of that year, Christmas, March, a couple months, I had closed on this house down here in Florida. It happened pretty quick. Okay, when I started looking, it just things happened, and getting this house we went through a lot. I was getting a VA loan, and right near the last minute, the VA loan just fell apart, and I had to go conventional, which means I had to put a down payment down, which was money I was spending that I wasn't planning to spend. Okay, so it was stressful. But see, I had 25 rental properties. And I had also put $25,000 into an oil investment in December, that previous December. And somewhere around that same time period, I put my first dollars into mineral rights acreage. And then as the months progressed, when I moved down here, I ended up putting more money into the oil, more money into the mineral rights. We were renovating our house up in Virginia to get it on the market. There were supply chain issues, materials we needed got slowed down, got delayed. But finally, we sold the house. We closed on it in September. And even now, though, when we sold it, it was a condition of getting a kitchen counter in there, and the kitchen counter took forever to get in there. And even now, when it was installed, there was an issue with it. I was on the phone yesterday with Lowe's getting it straightened out. So the house is sold. It's 99.9% sold. Like, it is sold. The new buyer is living in there, but I'm still dealing with that house just a bit. Okay? But in a nutshell, though, I went from money being extremely tight in the late 90s to still being very tight in 2010. Okay, 2010 was, I think, 2010 was the first time we went to Hershey Park, and that's when I had enough extra money to go to an amusement park. I had not been to an amusement park since I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I went to amusement parks, but I had a long gap there we went camping a few times, okay, and that's kind of the vacations we took, kind of, because we didn't have a lot of money, okay, times were tight. But now, so that was in, say, 2009, 2010. Now we're in 2021, and I'm a multimillionaire. How did that happen? Let's say I'm approaching multimillionaire status. I'm in seven figures. Multimillionaire would be $2 million. I'm not quite that level yet, but I'm closing in, okay? How did I get there? I told you about investing in mutual funds. I told you about buying individual stocks in 1999. I told you about the stock market crashing. It crashed again in the Great Recession, 2008, 2009. I bought my first rental property in January of 2017. Okay, the stock investing set the stage. That gave me confidence in investing. Because I didn't grow up in an investing family, but that stock investing gave me the confidence in investing. But I learned when you don't make a lot and you don't have money to add to your accounts, you can double your money, but if you have $10,000, now you got 20. Then you maybe get 50%, so now you got 30. It takes a while to build up, okay? But with rental property, in 4 years, I went from 0 to 25, okay? I wasn't rich when I did it. I did everything from a 401k loan on the Burr strategy to get what I call my free house. I sold one house after buying it. It took me a year and a half. I sold it in a year and a half roughly, and I bought 4 more, okay? I did a cashback refinance on 2 properties that I bought, my triplex and a single family home in Virginia, and I bought 9 more, okay? And the others just fell into place along those 4 years, 48 months. During those 48 months, I got 25 houses, okay? Since closing on the 25th in December of last year, I have not bought another rental property. I was going after 14 houses, and it fell apart. It was a seller who's a slumlord, and it fell apart. Since then, I have added to my investments in oil drilling and in mineral rights. I think I've said it on this channel that several times. Real estate, I believe, is the best way to create wealth in the fastest fashion. Okay? If I could do 0 to 25 in 4 years, I was buying in a lower cost market for the most part. In Virginia, it wasn't lower cost. That's where I started at. That's where I got my first 5, was in Virginia. Then I branched outside to different states, Indiana and Alabama. Okay, but if I could do that, I'm not saying you can do exactly what I did. You know, we're all different people. We're all different situations. But if I can do that, I think you can do something similar. Okay, you don't have to take as long as I do. You got YouTube now. If you're watching this, you got YouTube. And I know this is getting long, but stick with me. You got YouTube. YouTube will teach you everything and more about any investing topic that you want. There is no excuse to not invest in the year 2021, leading into the year 2022. I've had a family member who has told me do not talk to her about investing. I don't understand it. I do not understand why people don't want to learn how to invest. I have talked to peers, coworkers in police work. They didn't want to learn. They tell me the 2 excuses I hear locally. They don't have enough money, they don't have time. They don't have money, they don't have time. I've had single people tell me they don't have time. I've had married people tell me they don't have time. I've had married people with children tell me they don't have time. I was married with 2 kids, working a full-time job and a lot of overtime. I found the time. Where there's a will, there's a way, okay? If you're making excuses and saying you don't have enough money and you don't have enough time, I will tell you, and I'm getting more blunt now because I've dealt with rejection for decades. I will tell you, if you're blaming it on no money, you're blaming it on no time, stop making excuses. You're making excuses. That's all you're doing is making excuses. All right, if you don't have enough money, figure it out. Either cut expenses or make more money. It's not hard. Yes, I know inflation is going on. Yes, I know prices are going up. I buy my food in the supermarket. I don't eat out, rarely. I may go to Chipotle tonight for my free meal, but I don't eat and sit down in restaurants, rarely. But prices in supermarkets have gone up. And Lowe's today, some stuff's cheap. I bought a basil plant and a pepper plant. Each one was $4.99 maybe. I get a 10% military discount, so it was like $4.48. And I bought a flower. It was a little begonia, I believe it was, pink flower. I was by myself, so my wife said pick a flower out, so I picked out a begonia. And it was in the small pot, and it was like $2.28. And why do I buy them in the small pot? Because they grow. Why buy the big ones and pay like $15? Buy the little ones. They grow. Because we love plants. If you come visit me, you will see a lot of plants around my swimming pool. Maybe I'll show you a video sometime. It's raining out there today. Maybe I'll do a walk around sometime just showing you some of my plants. We'll see. I did work landscaping as a teenager for 3 years, so I got familiar more so with trees and junipers and stuff like that and flowers. But you know, the missus, she gets a lot more flowers than I do, but I like flowers. I like color. Okay? But the point of all this is, and I know it's been long, is you got to get started. Okay? I got something like 159 subscribers. Most of my videos will get 20-ish amount of views. I know it's more or less the same people watching, the same 20 people more or less watching, but I think occasionally some new person mixes in there. But if you're not started investing, what's holding you back? Okay, answer that. Look in the mirror and answer that question. What is holding you back? All right. If you haven't started at all, mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, you get $0 commissions now. It's free basically. All you got to do is put money in. A lot of these accounts have no minimum dollar amount, or maybe it's like $50, $100, $500. So if you're working a job, can you get $500 or $100 or whatever that figure is, the minimum deposit? You can. Learn how to buy stocks. You can still look at the Motley Fool like I did back in 1999. They're even better now than they were then. They got many more programs on their site, but you don't have to pay money. There's a way to figure out. I did it. I still do it. I can figure out what the premium services are recommended to buy without spending the money. Okay, there's ways to do it. Figure it out. Maybe I'll help you if you get logged into the site and you can't figure it out. Contact me. My email is always below. Contact me and ask me, because I figured I'm a small-time contractor, so I know every stock they recommend. I can access to it, let's say. But before I got that, I knew the majority of stocks they recommended. There was a way to do it. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't illegal. I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, but it was just free information that they would give us. And all you got to do is pay attention. Okay, but if you don't have a lot of money and you haven't started, personally, I think start with like stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, index funds. Get started, but learn how to buy rental property sooner rather than later. You can buy rental property with no money down, but we're going to assume you need to put 20% down. Okay, figure out how to get that 20%. There are people I have talked to that tell me they want to buy rental property, but they can't do it for 5 years. They can't do it for 10 years. They can't do it until they're 26 years old and they're 20 right now. Baloney. Everybody's making an excuse. Every single person is making an excuse. All right. Yes, you got to have a job probably for at least 2 years to get a mortgage. Okay. You can be 18 and get a job and be 20. And you can be 20, 2 years of employment and possibly qualify for a mortgage. You don't have to buy a $150,000 or $200,000 house in the area you live in. You can go elsewhere, study your market, find your boots on the ground, find your team on the ground, and find that ideal starter home that costs $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 that will rent for $800,000, $900,000, $1,100,000, $1,200,000, $1,300,000. They're out there. They're up and down this country in the Midwest. They're in the South. They're in different states. It's not just one. I found a house for $25,000 completely renovated. It's not the only one like that. There's more houses like that. My buddy just closed on a house the other week, $49,000. It's going to rent for, what did he say? I think he said $1,100 just the other week. Okay? Another buddy bought a house, I think, for $92,000, and it's going to rent for maybe $1,200, $1,300. They're out there. You gotta put in a little bit of effort, but it's easy. Realtor.com, Zillow.com, Redfin. You can look up any market you want. Find the market you want to invest in. Then Google real estate agents in that market. Google property managers in that market. Contact property managers or realtors. Find a real estate agent that likes working with investors. Many times you can read their bios on their site. If one of them mentions working with investors, that might be a good person to call. Ask them, do they have a property manager they work with? Interview that property manager. Call another property manager and interview them. Find the right fit for you. Okay, the right fit for you. All right, but get started. And I'm going to cover one last topic here real quick. We'll wrap this up in just a couple minutes. I know it's long. I apologize. But once you get accredited, there are channels out there that will only talk about stocks. There are channels that will only talk about real estate. There are channels that will only talk about living frugal and saving money and that sort of thing. There are channels out there where they will only talk about investing in the energy field. I talk about everything. I try to. I'm knowledgeable about a lot of it. I'm not an expert on anything. Okay, I'm not a CPA. I'm not a property. I'm not a financial analysis. I'm not an attorney, but I'm knowledgeable in all aspects of investing, more or less. Okay, I know a little bit about cryptocurrency. I know a little bit about wine. I know a little bit about art. I know a little bit about farmland in this country and outside of this country. Okay, I know about rental properties in 3 different states. I know about property in a 4th state. All right, I know about the stock market. I know about mutual funds. I will help. My goal is to help you to start investing. But once you get investing, and especially once you get into real estate, you will wake up one day, not just like you'll wake up one day, but you will wake up one day and you will find out you are now accredited. You are worth $1 million. Because when you buy property, it goes up in value. And let's just say you buy a house for $100,000. Maybe in 3, 4, 5 years, you get 7 or 8 houses. And guess what? Prices go up. And you wake up and they're all worth $1 million. Once you're accredited, that's $1 million net worth. Once you're accredited, it opens the doors to more investments that maybe, do your own due diligence, maybe they are better investments in real estate, stocks, or anything else I just mentioned. Two that I'm currently investing in is oil drilling and mineral rights acreage. Okay, I personally, through my own due diligence and my studying, I think both investments will do better than real estate and will do better than my individual stocks where I used to average, say, pushing 20%. I think they will do better with less stress. Okay, completely passive. But that's just me. That's my thoughts. I'm not telling you to do it because there are other investments out there that maybe you'll find. Okay, if you find something good, feel free to share it. If you find a good rental house, a good market, feel free to comment. Let me know where you're buying. I'm not going to jump in and steal your property. No one else, I hope, is going to jump in and they're not going to steal your property. The market, I was the first person in my mastermind group to buy in the market we're buying in Indiana. I was the first person. Now my group has 10, 11, 12 of us, and the group has bought 50, 60, maybe 70 houses up there. Okay? I don't care. There's more houses. No market. And this is a small market, and there's still plenty of houses. I've had people tell me, why do you keep telling people? I like to help people out. Okay? Sure, if I keep telling everybody, they'll eventually that won't be a good market anymore, but I will then find another market, or maybe somebody in my group will find another market and we'll move on. Or maybe I'll just get out of real estate and move into oil and mineral rights. We'll see. Or maybe I'll move into art. Probably not art. Probably not wine either. Maybe I'll put money back in the stock market. We'll see. But you start getting options. The one thing I won't do is lose my money. Okay, it may fluctuate at times, but I'm not going to lose it. I plan to increase it over time, my investments. But as your wealth grows, then look at setting up trust or look at setting up LLCs, especially if you get into real estate. But as you get into any investment, you want to protect your assets, okay? You want to protect them because there's people out there that they want stuff for free and they'll try to take it from us. All right, so be careful. Okay, just be careful. All right, so anyway, as I've said before, I'm Mazske. One of my goals is to help you out, help you to have a better financial future. Don't be like my one family member who does not want to talk to me about investing. Don't be like the other folks in my family who don't want to learn about investing. My immediate family, my wife and my kids do know about investing. But learn about investing. Talk to others about it. If we all start investing, I'll stick with this. We're going to make the world a better place. Okay? We will make the world a better place. No matter what your concern about this world is, if we invest, we can make it a better place. If you are concerned about climate change, by investing you get more money. You put solar in your house. You buy a battery-powered car. You plant more plants to help the air be cleaner. If nothing else, you put house plants in your house. I need to get a plant in my office. I don't think I have one in here because it helps the air quality inside. Helps clean the air up. Okay, a simple house plant will do that. All right. So anyway, this is long. It's one of my longer videos in quite a while. But anyway, it's been about 7 months since I started my YouTube channel. I have made 219 videos first go around. I deleted all of them, and now I don't know how many videos I've made in the second iteration of my channel. But if you are one of the original subscribers, as I've said in other videos, I've given you the keys to the castle. Okay, I have given you the keys to the castle. You have to be willing to take those keys and find that lock to put it in there to open that door and go through it. All right, if you go through it, I'm happy for you. All right, the world is your oyster. All right, as you open that door, it's a big world out there. All right, good enough. This one's long. Hopefully one of you at least will watch it to the end. If not, you'll never hear anything I say right now, but I'm saying goodbye. Mazske is signing out, and I will talk to you perhaps tomorrow. See ya.